Let's bring in Sean Salisbury, former NFL quarterback. Also, he hosts the morning show on Sports Talk 790 in Houston. Good to talk to you again, Sean. Do you have an idea what the Cowboys are doing?
Yeah, they're being the Cowboys. Dan, think about this now, which you mentioned and listen to what you were saying. Their inconsistency and lack of proactive is exactly who they've been since the mid-90s. And Dion notwithstanding, if he pulls that off, it'll be because relationships and all that. But Jerry would have fired himself 15 times as the GM since the mid-90s. Great marketer, the best in the world. But the problem is that Jerry's never going to let anybody come in there and be the face and the voice of the building. He's just not. And when you have that, you can't be a doctor and a lawyer in the same office. You got to be able to empower people to do it. So you're going to get guys, not saying these guys aren't good football coaches, Brian Schottenheimer, Kellen Moore, Jason Garrett. You're going to get guys who come in and are going to say, I want this job. I don't need any other power. I want a head coach. Let me at least have a little autonomy to hire some of the guys we want, but you make any decision you want. It's not going to be somebody with power that wants to run the building, not only the groceries, but also put it out there and be the guy in the hallway after the game that's doing the press conference. As long as Jerry continues this, the Dallas Cowboys will be who they are, a January, if they're lucky, team.
Yeah, and I know that the Dion story, and you know, that had legs for a while because it was the Cowboys and Dion, and I kept saying, I just don't know if it's real. I still don't know if it's real, but I did see an article that said Colorado is upping its contract talks with Dion.
Of course.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're not really looking for the job, the best they can do is bring out the pro interest and you'll get paid. But Dan, real quick on that, I thought good for him. Hey, if you can get it, go get more money.
Sure.
But the Dion talk, there's a lot of familiarity there. If Dion was going to get the Cowboys gig, and I mean, maybe it'd be awesome. Wouldn't he already have it? What are you waiting for? This is who the Cowboys are. Wait till everybody's gone and then say, well, we're going to hire Dave Campo tomorrow. Not that Dave Campo wasn't a good coach, but now Jerry still gets to be the loudest voice and the biggest face in the building. That's not changing, Dan, regardless of everybody's wish.
Why does the appearance that the Chiefs get more calls than anybody else? Why is that? Whether it's based in fact or based in fiction, there is that perception. And there are numbers that show when they play their last 11 playoff games, they're 10-1, and the disparity between the penalties on them and the disparity on their opposition.
Well, Dan, why it seems like it is because they do.
Yeah.
You're right. Now, I understand Bird and Jordan and Kobe and all the guys LeBron getting calls because they're superstars. It doesn't mean that should be the case. A goaltending call is a goaltending call in basketball, right? Should be, no matter who the guy is blocking a shot. In football, why is it that the Bradys or the Stars are supposed to get more calls than the backup? Hell, the backup needs more calls because he's not as good. There is that perception. Maybe they've earned, a different look. When Tony Gwynn took a pitch, umpires, if they were sitting on the fence, called it a ball. Well, it's Tony Gwynn. And I understand that similar feeling here. I don't want to diminish because, listen, you could slice it and be as pissed as you want about the Chiefs and their success. They become the villain now because people are fatigued by them. But they know how to win. They're great situational football. Even when it doesn't look pretty, when the time is right, they always make a play. And then every now and again, you'll get a call that was a phantom call, and the perception is that's how they win all their games. That's not true. The Texans got their ass kicked because they gave up 8 sacks. They special teams was horrible, and you let it, their offense with Kelsey do whatever they wanted. And the bonus is that you get a couple phantom calls on Mahomes. You do have to go in knowing 2 or 3 times a game that will happen. So you're beating a 12th man on plays. But I think we diminished the Chiefs' great play and situational greatness because of a couple calls. Would they help? Yeah, if you could get them back, and you need them going there. But that's not the reason they keep winning. They keep winning because they got more guts and stones at the right time than most of their opponents. But make no mistake, they do get superstar treatment, and you and I both know it.
Okay, so moving forward, the NFL will do what in the sliding rule or protecting the quarterback? Or, and Mahomes has admitted that he's kind of flaunting this. Hey, I'm kind of getting out of bounds, Oh, I'm going to flop out of bounds. Or when you slide, the NFL does have, it's not a crisis, But it certainly is a situation that needs to be tended to.
My favorite is all quarterbacks hate the protect. They do, Dan. You've talked to them. Quarterbacks don't like the overprotection. But I'll be damned if the second they get a hit, their heads snap into the official saying, aren't you going to call that? And Mahomes is great at manipulating what the rules are allowing. The little okey doke by the sideline, step in, extend the ball, know that you're over there slowing down. Maybe you'll get a hit. Maybe you'll get the foul. And he would get it. So he's not dumb. He gets it. Dan, with all this talk, you know what they're going to do? Protect the quarterbacks and players more. That's what they're going to do because the lawsuits and, oh, my gosh, they're going to tell you that they're going to watch it a little better. When all, you can never take an 8-carat diamond ring for your fiance and show her it, then go give her the 1-carat cubic zirconia. You just can't do it. And it's the same thing here. You're not going to go here and all of a sudden say, let's back off on the injuries. Even though we all know the rules suck, we overprotect, we've lost the integrity of tackle football, and it adds to it when superstar quarterbacks have it. The bottom line for me, Dan, I hate the feet first slide rule. When you break out of the pocket, we have so many great runners at quarterback now that are, look at Jaden Daniels and Hurts and Allen and Jackson and Mahomes. These guys now are so good at not only manipulating the rules, but so good using being two-dimensional players that why can't we go back to be smart in the open field like Elway had to do when he played with his feet, or Steve Young, get down. I think that you're opening yourself up to more injuries and problems by keeping the feet first slide. Because of the okie doke. And defensive players, every single rule on the planet is set up for points and a defensive player to get hosed. I'm not sure how you approach a player because the same guy that doesn't take a hit on a legal hit on a quarterback in the open field, you know what their coach says to him on Monday watching tape, Dan? Keep doing that and you'll be looking for another job. Defenses get hosed. It's got to change. I doubt it will, but it should. I can't stand the feet first slide. When you leave that pocket, you become a football player like everybody else and do what everybody else has to do. Protect your damn self or go stand on there and do what I did. Grab Gatorade and hand it to the guy who's out there protecting himself. Okay? You got to.
Give me the quarterback under the most pressure this weekend.
Well, just by playoff pressure, it's sure not Jaden Daniels. Oh, how special is he, Dan, right? Boy, the poise, everything that's been documented. I think there's, he's a rookie. So I hate the word, well, he's on house money. You never know if you're going to get back. So it's not him. Jalen Hurts, the pressure to throw. If Philadelphia is a pressure-packed city, and if they don't throw it well, that team they're playing can possibly make them one-dimensional, even as good as Barkley is. It's not Mahomes because, well, he keeps piling them up. He's chasing Brady. He's got his. He just wants more, and he wants to be greedy, and I don't blame him. It's got to be Josh Allen, even after the great season he's had. After all, he's the best player in Lamar Jackson not to win a major in the golf course, right, Dan? It's got to be him. He's going on the road. We've seen this movie before. The expectations, he's played great. He's protected the ball. He's dressing in a phone booth every week, and he'll have to do it again. I think it falls on him because no matter what happens, even if he throws for 405 touchdowns, if they lose, we're going to walk off this field, and you know what we're going to say, because that's how we do, is, yep, can get you to January, but can't get you to February. Even if he plays like Superman this week, it falls back on him, and people continue to say, yeah, but can he get you to February? Which will not be fair, but it'll be because they can't win this game if he plays average. He's got to play great. Most of the pressure falls on him. One guy's too young. The other guy, I don't think we expect to throw for 300 yards, and Jalen Hurts. It's one of these guys, and it's not Mahomes because he's got his. It's all on Allen because he's got a Hall of Fame career budding. He just doesn't have a Super Bowl ring, and this would, to some, validate that for him.
Sean Salisbury, former NFL quarterback, host of the Sean Salisbury Show, Sports Talk 790 in Houston. I would argue and say it's Mahomes because everything he's doing is
Brady.
Yes.
I agree.
If you get there, you got to win. You don't know how long the gravy train lasts, and he could have a three-peat, which Tom never had. Now all of a sudden you're bringing in Michael Jordan. So if you're Mahomes, now all of a sudden we've gone outside of the sport, and now we're bringing up the name, or I would, Michael Jordan, who three-peated twice.
He's the best winner in sports right now, Dan, in team sports. He really is. He's the best winner in team sports, and it may not look pretty all the time, but he finds ways, which to me is a great trait. There are certain guys who find ways to lose. Mahomes finds ways to win regardless of roster shifting and all that. But, Dan, and I think maybe we could even put it in two verticals, right? One is the pressure on Mahomes for the individual legacy, chasing Brady, three-peat, the things that he hasn't done, and still things you got to accomplish to get to Brady's numbers, the wins and all that, and that legacy. But there's also the other side that Mahomes and the team, if the Chiefs lose this game, I doubt that very few people are going to walk off saying, man, the Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes, that kind of takes some shine off Mahomes' career chasing. Because even Brady lost some. He even lost some, even in that undefeated season. So while there's pressure, I think for him that inner pressure of I'm keeping track, even though he won't tell you this, keeping track with the Brady chase, that exists, the Jordan chase, the Tiger Woods chase. I do think that's relevant, Dan, and applies here. But as an overall team, I think the pressure of a city, our expectations, Buffalo also having been to 4 in a row, and even the great Jim Kelly, they didn't win one of those. I think that part, when it comes to the team, adds the extra team pressure to Josh Allen and a guy who is so good but hasn't been validated with a Super Bowl appearance.
All right, give me the coach who benefits the most from a Super Bowl win.
Well, we already know that Andy Reid's the best coach in football right now, and he's in a chase mode too. But I think we've already got him as he's a surefire, no-brainer Hall of Famer.
Can he catch Belichick? We're talking about Mahomes. So
right,
like it's a package deal that if one catches one, then the other one catches one.
Dan, there's a lot of wins to go in that category, isn't there? You got to be a little lucky to get to the Belichick, Shula. But can he? Yeah, it depends on how long Andy Reid wants to do it. And if he has a guy that wears number 15 is pretty good over the next decade, yeah, I think. But he's got his ring now. That pressure existed when Andy came from Philly. It's not on. It's not on Quinn. He's still, building his team.
Yeah, but he would be able to make up for 28-3.
There is no doubt after being down to Brady himself, that would be great validation. I think because of the pressure, they've been there before. Last year, losing coordinators, and everybody even had him at the beginning of the season. If they struggle, we're going to fire him. The Nick Sirianni thing and the pressure of Philly, okay. I think I'm going to put it on him. And I think Sean McDermott as well in the AFC. You can pick 6 and 1 half dozen the other because he, too, has had really good teams. They've knocked on the door and have been there. At least Sirianni's been to his. And plus, McDermott's going against the guy who was his mentor and the guy who had him on his coaching staff in Philadelphia. So probably it's Buffalo or Philly for sure. I don't think it exists other than the interfight for Dan Quinn. But Andy Reid, there's always pressure. It's on all of them. But Andy Reid's career is not going to be diminished, or we're not going to say, yeah, he's not Belichick if he loses a Super Bowl or doesn't get there.
Good to talk to you as always, Sean. Thanks for joining us.
Great to talk to you, Dan. Appreciate you. Enjoy.
That's Sean Salisbury, former NFL quarterback, host of the Sean Salisbury Show on Sports Talk 790 in Houston.